بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. أما بعد شفنا المرة اللي فاتت direct method, and this time we're going to see another new method. Why are we going to see another new method? Because simply the direct method has some weaknesses, has some negatives, so it must be replaced by another method to learn language effectively. And this method is called the audio-lingual method. Audio-lingual method. Audio A is capitalized, then there is a hyphen. Lingual L is capitalized, then method M is capitalized. That is translated into الطريقة السمعية الشفهية, the audio-lingual method. Okay, it started in early 50s, 1950s. Okay, it started in early 1950s. It focuses on listening and speaking first, using repetition, drills, and memorization. You're gonna ask me, teacher, repetition is clear. Memorization is also clear. What do you mean by drills? I know it is a new word for you. Drills means تدريبات متكررة. Okay, they are called drills. تدريبات متكررة. تمارين متكررة are called drills. So it focuses on listening and speaking first. Listening and speaking first, using repetition, drills, and memorization. So students learn by repeating correct sentences until they become habits. Here in the audio-lingual method, students learn through what? Through repeating those sentences until those sentences become habits. Okay? Until those sentences become habits. And this is concerning the focus. Now moving to the goal. Use the use, okay, of the target language to communicatively overlearn it. The goal of the audio-lingual method, we use the target language, okay? To communicatively overlearn it. Here in the audio-lingual method, we don't use the native language at all. We only use the target language. The target language means the language that we want to learn, okay? We want to master, okay? Use the target language to overlearn it. Communicatively to overlearn it, simply. We're going to complete with the structure versus pattern, pattern versus habit. Structure, we mean by structure the grammar form of a sentence. Subject, verb, object. The grammar form of a sentence. Now moving to pattern. Repeated ways of doing or saying something. Repeated forms, okay? Repeated ways of doing or saying something are called patterns, okay? These are called patterns. For example, when you always say hello, so this is a pattern, simply. Now moving to habits. Actions you do automatically without thinking. For example, brushing your teeth every morning. Brushing your teeth every morning is an action you do, okay, without thinking. Now we're going to complete with the approaches, okay? The approaches of the audio-lingual method. So what are the approaches? Firstly, behaviorism, okay? Behaviorism approach by who? By B.F. Skinner. So believes that language is a set of habits, forming habits through repetition, drills, and reinforcement. And behaviorism, it's the approach of audio-lingual method. By whom? By B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner قال لك إنه language is a set of habits. اللغة مجموعة من العادات. من خلال ماذا؟ من خلال repetition تكرار، جواز تدريبات، وكذلك reinforcement اللي هو تشجيع التلاميذ به يعملوا أكثر وأكثر. Reinforcement. This is what you mean by reinforcement. من بعد structural linguistics by Charles C. Fries. So what is said in structural linguistics? It was said that language is a system of structures and patterns. هنا Charles Fries قال لك باللي language is a system of structures and patterns. What do you mean by structures? Structures are the grammar form of a sentence, as we have said, while patterns are repeated ways of doing or saying something. For example, you say always hello. So this is a pattern. Now we're going to complete with the role of the teacher. So what is the role of the teacher in the audio-lingual method? The role of the teacher is monitor, مراقب, controller, مسيطر. The teacher acts as a model. He gives the model to students, and the students repeat those models, okay? You're gonna ask me, what do you mean by the model? What do you mean by the teacher gives the model to students? What do you mean by the model here? The model, you're gonna of course translate it into نموذج. But what do you mean by نموذج here? نموذج هنا means the example. The teacher gives the example to students and students repeat that examples various times, many times, okay? This is what you mean by the teacher acts as a model. He gives the model and students repeat the model. Now moving to the types of drills. What are the types of drills? The types of drills are repetition, okay? It means when we repeat, for example, the teacher says hello and the students say hello, okay? Repetition. Substitution. We substitute, for example, I am a cook. We substitute the word cook, for example, with the word teacher. We say, I am a teacher or I am a barber, okay? We substitute. غير. Transformation. Transformation means when we transfer, okay? When we transfer the sentence from passive to active or from active to passive. This is what you mean by transformation. Chain of drills, it means the conversation that happens between two persons. It means when a conversation happens between two persons or three persons or whatever, it is called chain drills. It is called chain drills. So all these have the same objects of learning to form new habits. Now we're gonna complete. So the grammar is taught inductively. We mean by inductively, we learn, okay, the rule from examples. The teacher gives certain of examples, okay? And the students try to guess the rule from those examples. This is what you mean by the grammar is taught inductively, okay, from examples. The audiolingual base. It is based on it is based on chain drills, okay? It is based on chain drills. Pronunciation is emphasized while grammar and vocab are limited. Grammar and vocab in the audiolingual method are limited. Listening and speaking are prioritized. Listening and speaking are prioritized. Now moving to another name of it. There is another name of the audiolingual method, which is the army method. Again, another name of the audiolingual method, which is the army method. Why, in your opinion? Why, in your opinion, was called the army method? It was called the army method because it was used to teach USA soldiers, okay, a foreign language. It was used to teach USA soldiers a foreign language during the World War II. Now we're going to complete with interaction. Teacher initiates interaction most of the time. Students respond and repeat. So teacher here in the audiolingual method initiates interaction most of the time. What do you mean by initiates interaction most of the time? The teacher is the one who asks questions, is the one who gives models, okay, examples, and so on and so forth. While students here respond and repeat, okay? Now moving to the teacher learning process, okay? Students listen to a teacher or a recorder. Students in the audiolingual method listen to what? To a teacher or a recorder. They imitate. Who? Students. They imitate and repeat words and sentences. So you're gonna ask me, guys, are imitation and repetition the same? They are not the same. When we say students imitate, it's not the same when we say students repeat. Because imitate means we copy the exact way of that person. We copy the exact way of speaking of that person. For example, if the teacher says hello, okay? The students automatically will say hello. The students here are not going to say hello. They are going to say it the same way the teacher said it. Simply. This is what you mean by imitation. While repetition means to repeat, okay? For example, the teacher says, how are you? The students will say, how are you? It's okay if the students will say, how are you? Because it's about repeating, okay? It's not about imitating, because when we say imitate, it means that we copy the imitation of that person, the stress of that person, the pronunciation of that person. While repetition, it means we only repeat, okay? We only repeat. So, they do drills and pattern practice many times. You're going to ask me, what do you mean by drills and pattern practice here? Drills, as I said before, تمارين متكررة. They do drills means تكرار أسئلة أو أجوبة. They repeat, okay, questions and answers. While pattern practice تدريب على نفس النمط. Okay, تدريب على نفس النمط أو القاعدة. مثلا تغيير ضمير في الجملة. Pattern practice, for example, when you change the personal pronouns in the sentence. Okay, this is called pattern practice. And reading and writing tasks are based on oral work automatically, as long as the audiolingual method, okay, is based on listening and speaking. So it is based on oral work. So reading and writing tasks are based on oral work. Everything the students do in the class, okay, with the use of the audiolingual method to learn the target language is going to be based on oral work. Simply. This is, guys, our episode for today. Thank you so much and see you next time. Ciao.